Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 207. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Nihara. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, for people who want to know what the Keith Andrew Network is, the Keith Andrew Network is my way of showing people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. Actually, I butchered that whole thing. Let me do it. If you mind, let me just take a drink with that.
Go right ahead. I have finishing off my coffee here, so.
Like I said, it's live. Anything can happen.
Right?
But basically, the whole point of my talk show is for me to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should never give up and have people label you, and you should prove to them you can stem out to something. This is a half hour, 45 minutes of your time. Say anything you want. Curse if you want to, get up, walk around, and give us a tour of your place. Completely whatever you want to do. And starting off, I'm going to ask you some easy questions, then some hard-hitting ones, and then I'm going to pass the show over to you, put you in the driver's seat, supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it. With that being said, what can you tell us about yourself?
I'm originally from Chicago. I've been here in New York for about 10 years, and 6 of those in Brooklyn. Actor, writer, singer, goofball, nerd, geek, love of life. So yeah, that's like the nutshell of it.
Alright. Well, while on the subject, have you ever gone to Comic-Con?
You know what? Every time it comes around, I'm always out of town. So this time I made a deal to be in New York and not. I already put my bid in for my ticket, so I'm not leaving. I'm going this year.
Hey, if it's a possibility, I would love to spend a day with you and hang out with you.
Sure. I'm trying to see if I can get like a Florida pass. It might just end up being one day, but we'll see how it works out.
My sister wants to do a one-day pass. My brother wants to do a 4-day pass. But hey, if you weigh up the money, I pay you back, and we see what happens.
Hey, do you usually dress up when you go?
I like to go looking professional.
Okay.
Let's see. I went to the Poughkeepsie. I don't know if you heard of it. There was a Poughkeepsie Comic-Con recently.
Oh, I think that's something that I just saw on the news like last week, I think.
It was at Gold's Gym, right?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
And I went, I had my, like a black shirt and a leather jacket, and so I was going to fight for the punker look.
Okay.
The whole rock and roll thing. I would like to dress up, but, just in case someone asks me for my ID, I was like, well, I do have an eye, but these spandex are covering my pockets. Anyway,
Understandable. I might dress up this year. I'll see. I have some friends who are serious cosplayers, and so I know I can't, be as good as them just yet, but I know I can get some good tips.
Well, if you're interested, maybe you can get them on the show. I've been trying to get cosplayers on the show.
Okay, yeah, I know like a nice handful who, especially my friend Bill, he has, he's at every single one, in the tri-state area as far as I know. And he dresses up every time. He's amazing.
Alright, well, after the show, I do have some ideas for you.
Okay.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you, growing up, were you athletic? Did you do any sports? And when you went to college, were you a study nerd or party animal?
In sports, no. I wanted to be good at sports, but I was terrible at sports. I was always been the short girl, so if there's we played basketball, I try to dodge, but I always am getting hit with balls, unfortunately. Softball I love, but was never good at hitting. So yeah, I'm a fan of sports, but not necessarily good at playing. In college, I was pretty good. I studied filmmaking and acting, and I had my share of parties, but I wasn't a major party girl. I was just basically having fun, going around New York and just doing my thing.
I hear you. I do this a lot before it was the girls, also it's something I always liked. Did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or not a human pyramid person?
No, because my friends weren't really weren't cheerleaders. We were like the goofy kids, and we were the outrageous kids. So we did some funny stuff. Like we play a lot of practical jokes in school, but there's no human pyramids. That would have been fun though. I actually might do something like that as an adult now, but we'll see.
Would you be up for it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I got some silly friends. We're down for a human pyramid.
Hey, you help me out, Alex. I love that
All
stuff.
right, we'll make it happen.
I love that stuff. I'm a loser.
Oh, no. You know what's cool now? Being us nerds is cool now. So doing a human pyramid, that is like downright cool because you own your nerdiness. So
that's true. I appreciate it. Now the next question I was gonna ask you. Now I'm gonna ask you some hard hitting ones, and then I'm gonna pass it back to you. And it may come off a little. I was told I'm a good talk show host, but I come off a little stiff.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you some questions. Don't take offense to it. It's uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. Becoming an actress, what steps did you have to take, number one? Mm-hmm. Who influenced you? Okay. And does the whole race card play a factor in it?
I started acting when I was a kid. My mother was the one who got me the acting bug because she was big in theater in Chicago. And there's a huge theater scene there, so that's where I got my start. I love comedy, so I was always watching like variety shows and sitcoms. And so like Carol Burnett and like now Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and Lily Tomlin and Madeline Collins. I like watching a lot of old movies. And these are really funny women who are unapologetic, and I really love that. As you know, since I've been doing the business for like several years, I've watched the trend of how black women are portrayed or how they are seen. And you have like these, you have the sassy black woman, you have the woman with the attitude, or you have the flighty girl who's always the token. But the trend has changed somewhat. They're getting like, with Shonda Rhimes being like the queen of Thursday nights, there is no limit as to what black actresses can do on television. I really like that. And that influenced my decision to create my own web series, Velma. And Velma is basically, long and the short of it, if Bugs Bunny was a black geeky woman, he'd be Velma. So it's all the lead characters are people of color. And there's no token in the show. It's like everyone's a comedian or an improviser or comedic actor. And it's a lot of physical comedy, just a lot of goofiness, and it's fun because the characters aren't one-dimensional. Like, when people ask about the character Velma, I let them know she's not a female Urkel at all. She's basically Bugs Bunny. She's smart, she's a little bit of conniving, she's very clever, and she's in her own little world. And who knows where, the show will go. I would love for it to, be mainstream. So that way more people can see, like, hey, black people aren't just this version. Hey, there's black nerds out there. There's black geniuses out there. And they're not all like the sassy black girl. They're not all the token girl. They can be this as well. I read an article recently, the lead actress in Fresh Off the Boat. And she was talking about her experience as being an Asian actress and breaking away from what Hollywood say, oh, well, you're Asian, so you have to be like this. And with, the show, it shows that you don't have to be. Yes, it happens to be Asian, but she's also an American, and every American has a story. It's, it's not just, well, whites have to be this way, blacks have to be this way, Latinos have to be this way. We all are in this world together. We all have the same issues. We all have the same ups and downs. We're just trying to get through our day, and try to add a little laughter in there in the meantime.
No, absolutely. I didn't mean any disrespect. It is uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression, and you can throw anything back at me, uncensored, whatever you want to talk about.
I wasn't offended at all. I lived through this. I'm a black woman, so of course I live it. So, no, you're not offended me at all.
Well, on the subject, I'm going to throw myself underneath the bus as well. You said you're talking about the token black girls, the token white girls, all the tokens. Okay. Well, one thing, I would love to be a part of your series. You help me. Go ahead.
You said comedy?
I do stupid things when I give you a perfect example. When I try to be funny, it isn't funny. When I don't think, when I just do, it's funny.
That's how it happens. That's usually how the best stuff happens, when you're not even thinking about it. And that's why it's great, why I work with some great improvised actors, because I write the scripts. So I'm like, you know what, guys, these are just words. Have at it. Do your thing with it. And that's the best time, when you just let the people just flow freely. There's usually you find some bigger and better surprises. So yeah, I can fit you into the show.
Yeah, I appreciate
it. Don't be afraid to let loose and be silly. So I got some good ideas. What I'm searching for season 2 is some investors and some producers. Because we did season 1 like completely bare bones and like next to no budget, but we pulled it off, and we were so lucky in like the locations we got, the actors we got, the crew. Oh my God, the crew! I think I must have found it like 4-leaf clover or something, because the crew I got was so phenomenal. We got some really quality stuff, and that's what I'm hoping to get, either some investors or sponsors for producers for season 2, so I can focus on the creative side of it and let them deal with like all the paperwork and the marketing and everything, and we can make it bigger and better and funnier and wilder, and just see where it goes.
No, absolutely. And actually, that's another subject. Actually, we can talk about off the air. We can talk about it now if you want. It's up to you.
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah. It'll be, like I'm saying, that's a long conversation, so we can do that later.
All right. Well, I was going to say, you help me, I help you. So it's a win-win.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Now, going back to what I mentioned about the whole race card, I'm going to throw myself underneath the bus as well. Do you... And I have had people say this to me. I had... if I hesitate, I apologize.
No problem.
I was turned down for interviews because people, or when I was talking about my show with disabilities, people say, you say you're mentally challenged and retarded, but looking at you, we don't see anything wrong with you. So it's kind of like, it's the stereotype of saying, oh, because my eye doesn't go this way, my eye doesn't do that, or I make messed up faces, or whatever the labels you want to throw at me, or whatever labels people assume to be disability and whatever. You say, do you have to label it something? Oh, well, you say you're disability, so we have to have someone in a wheelchair. I was working in Target, and some customers, I kind of hinted towards my show, and I said, well, my show's about disabilities and everything. It's like, really? Well, just by looking at you, it doesn't look like you have a disability. And I'm like, not everyone's the same.
Right.
And then, not everyone's got to be like, I would do it, but then I don't want to get any letters on it. But it's kind of like, I don't know. And it's the same thing with you. It's like, oh, well, we have an all-black show. Well, we need a token white guy. We have an all-white show. And it's like, just save that shit for someone else who cares. Because if you're capable of being a good actor, if you're capable of entertaining people, that's all that matters. The whole labels, I bet you got labels thrown at you. Well, people label me for being mentally challenged, retarded, whatever. But the whole point of the show, in your show, is to say, we're this, but you can't judge a book by its cover, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's exact. Like, I have 3 family members who are disabled. My mother is totally blind, and 2 of my half-siblings are on the autistic spectrum. My mother, since losing her sight, has done more since '99 that I've ever seen her do. She's an amazing woman, and she's not held back by her disability. The younger sibling who's autistic, he has proved everybody wrong, finished high school, is currently in college. But he's doing very well for himself. He's doing very well. My other sister, who's also on the autistic spectrum, it's interesting. She's very, very bright and calculating. like, she knows when people think that she's less than, and so she'll play it up, and she'll, she's like, okay, you think I'm this, then fine, I'll be that for you. But in actuality, she's, just testing and watching who they are, and she basically judges them for how they treat her.
Right.
Because she underestimates, they want to underestimate her. She's like, all right, you think I'm this, I'll show you. But she's not, she's very clever in the way she does it. She's basically, her main goal is she wants to work with children and child care, but her heart is so huge, she basically spends her time helping out my mom, even though my mom doesn't need it. But she feels that my mom needs her help. It's really sweet. But yeah, that's the thing about the three of them is they fight the expectations of what people assume they are, what they should be. And so I just listening to your story, that's why I was really, really touched by, your story, is that, yeah, you cannot judge a book by its cover at all. You can't, just because you think a person doesn't have the capabilities of doing something doesn't mean you should treat them less than. Or, like people think, well, you don't look disabled. I'm like, that's a stupid thing to say. I'm like, you automatically know what it's like. Just like what it is, it's like, oh, you don't look like you're, I think for me, when I was younger, depending on where I was in Chicago, oh, you talk white. I'm like, what does talk white mean? I'm like, my parents are educators, so, I was taught to speak a proper way. That's nothing to do with wanting to be something else. This is who I am. And so, luckily, I have been lucky in the sense that I haven't had to, when it comes to casting people, could you be blacker? I haven't had to deal with it, but I know people who've had to deal with that. And that's why I created Velma, because there is no stereotype in the show. Everyone's just a big, gigantic goofball, and they're just human beings. And we want, even because, like I said, even though they're caricatures of people, they'll never be stereotypes. So, but yeah, I would love to have you on the show. I have something in mind, but we'll talk about that later.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, where are you based?
I am in Brooklyn. I've been in Brooklyn for 6 years. I love it, actually. It's just really, really cool. I like Brooklyn so much because it's like a great balance between the fast-paced frankness of Manhattan, and you come home and you're just really down to earth. And like I'm from Chicago, so it's a big city, but it's also slower paced. And the people here in Brooklyn are very real. Like, I know all my neighbors. It's one of those rare instances when you walk down the street and everyone says hi. So it's very refreshing to know that, yes, in New York, even though we're all compacted on top of each other and everything's fast-paced, there are people who will say, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
No, absolutely. You give me respect, you give you respect,
and
that's all it's about. It's not all about labeling people and all that BS.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I totally agree.
Now, going back to a news story a while ago, and then I'm going to pass the show back to you after this, and you can ask me anything you want, gloves off.
Okay.
What was your whole opinion about the whole knockout game? Like, what was the whole point of that?
There is no point to it. It's a childish thing. I just saw in the news yesterday, or the day before, about a Muslim man who was attacked, and one of the kids that got caught said, "Oh, it was part of the Muslim game." I said, "No, part of the knockout game." But if you see the man's injuries, that wasn't part of the knockout game. That was a hate crime. Because I've stated that, on the news they show you, the knockout game is kids come up to a random person and punch them once and then run away. The way that man was beat up, that was calculated. That was planned. And it's, I think it's stupid because kids, I don't know why they think to do that is to be cool. Well, if I just go and just beat somebody up, it shows how bad I am. So, no, it shows that you're a coward. If you have to come up with somebody and punch them from behind, you're a coward. If you can't take a punch yourself without, if you can't allow your ego to dictate your life, then you're a coward. No, and that's absolutely what it is. I read in one of those stories, Humans of New York, as one guy was talking about how when he was younger, a lot of kids were able to go out on their own and play, and the young ones were the ones who got in trouble the most, and his mother kept him in the house until he was 14. But once he stepped out of the house without supervision, that's when he started to get in trouble. And it wasn't like he wasn't stealing or anything. He was just basically always the charges was disorderly conduct because he was always getting into a fight. And it would always be something random. He said it could be the stupidest thing. It'd be that one line, "Hey, what are you looking at?" And then that's what set him off. Like, really? Like, what does that prove? So it's really sad that kids feel they need to, one, always find approval, always have to be cool. And some never get out of that mindset. We have had a neighbor who, since I've been on this block, has been in and out of jail. And just recently went back, and someone said, well, he went home. That's basically, his whole life had been go that back and forth, that he just went home, and he's probably not coming out again. And that's really sad,
What was the line from Back to the Future? These are Back to the Future, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, years ago. All three of them.
The first one where Marty sees his uncle, it's like, he better get used to these bars, kid.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Uncle Joey, right. This is so funny you said that. Like, I read an article, about the trilogy, and they were saying how there's always these different outcomes based on what they did in the past, but in every single version, Joey was always in jail. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, everybody's life had changed except for Joey, so that was his destiny no matter what. I'm like, oh god, that's horrible, but it's true.
It is. Passing the show over to you. How can people follow you? And actually, you're well on the subject.
Okay.
It's why I say, why I hate people. Stupid, selfish, ignorant. It's a me. Look at your generation, look at mine. You went outside, you played, you had video games, but you spent time with your family, you were taught family values.
Yep.
Today, it's like, leave me the hell alone, I have my iPhone. Or you do the first-person shooter games, I keep telling people they should be banned.
Yeah.
There should be more gun rights, gun controls. And I know, it's like living in a one big mental institution.
It's really, to me, it's really sad. Like, I was shocked because I have younger siblings. And when I was in school, everything was like, of course you have your math and reading and science, all that other stuff. But like, art was mandatory, music was mandatory, gym was really mandatory. Like, so you had to have physical education and the arts, and by the time my younger siblings got there, they were gone. I was like, how do you not have gym? That's like something that every kid should have. And he's like, well, wasn't part of my schedule, it was an elective. I thought that was so weird. So taking all these things that, to keep a kid well-rounded out of education, and so if you take that out and all you leave them with is TV and video games, that's all they're going to learn. So all the video games are, like, granted they're fun for adults, but, all these shoot-'em-up games, these zombie days, these games about death and theft, it desensitizes them to, like, the problems that are really going on. So when you see it in the news, you're like, ugh, no big deal. I'm like, but it should be a big deal. No one should have to suffer. No one, the whole back and forth debate about religious zealots, doesn't matter what religion it is. If they're crazy, they get a gun and they act according to what they think their religion wants them to do. But in reality, it has nothing to do with religion. It's going on whatever they've been fed, and it just twisted their mind, and they feel that there's no life that's worth even theirs. I'm like, life does have value. I'm sorry, I have allergies, so pardon me if I do it.
Yeah, it's life. Anything can happen.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. It's nothing to be sorry about.
But, outside of thinking that I don't believe that everything is fatalistic. I don't think that, the whole world's going to shit. Luckily, there are certain people who have common sense. Luckily, there are families and teachers and, people who care about the well-being of people in their lives. And it's good to have someone in your corner and say, hey, you're fucking up. Don't do this. Hey, we care about you. Let's get some help, or here's some things you're not being taught in school that will help you, guide you through a good life, as opposed to like, oh, these people are bad, these people are stupid, don't talk to these people, you should kill these people. That should not be the way of thinking, because That's why we have so much anxiety. That's why we have so much depression. Why we have so many diseases that are, instead of them being cured, they're just constantly being medicated, and they're just like suppressing the issue. But yeah, but I'm a happy person. I really am. I firmly believe in your outlook. What you feel here is going to affect your entire, body. So if you feel like shit in here, you're definitely going to feel like shit in the rest of your body. So it's just about changing your perspective and being open to understanding. You can disagree without being disagreeable. It's about respect in human life, respecting the people that are in your life. And like, granted, I'm not a religious person at all, but I'm not going to knock somebody who feels that, something that's going to help them better in life. I'm not going to tell them, what they think is full of shit, especially if that gives them hope, especially if that gives them something good to strive for. So as long as you don't, tell me I'm wrong, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. And we all live happy lives.
No, absolutely. Now, passing the show back to you.
Okay.
How can people follow you on social media? Are you on Stage 32? Are you on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn?
I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, and I think that's it. But you can just find me Nihara Nichelle, Nihara Nichelle, Nichelle. So I'm on all of that. It's also on YouTube. There's also Funny or Die. My web series I mentioned, Velma, is on Funny or Die. Hold on 1 second. I gotta plug in my computer. Be right back. Yes, my web series Velma is on Funny or Die in YouTube, and you just look for Velma the web series. So that's those two YouTube pages, Nihara Nichelle and Velma the web series, and on Funny or Die. There will be a Velma the web series Instagram coming soon. The Velma Facebook page is Velma Does Not Get It at Facebook. So it's a very fun show. Hope everyone tunes in and watches. And you can follow me on all the other stuff too, so I'm there.
No, absolutely. Don't mind. I wasn't farting or anything. This is just a chair I was in.
It's okay. I couldn't smell it anyway.
Well, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I promise I will shut up and let you finish the show.
Okay.
When I first approached you, what was your honest opinion of me? And how did you feel about being on the show? And after being on the show, how do you feel now?
Well, when I first approached, I didn't know what it was about, so I went and did the research first. And like I said, watching your show and doing the research about you, it really touched me because of my family, who is also disabled, and the things that they're going through, the things that they're accomplishing. I think it's amazing that you're doing this. So I was happy to be a part of this. And it's like I said, I'm just happy to be here. I was telling my mother-in-law, she's asking how you found me, and I said through Facebook, and I said I noticed that you had a lot of videos from WWE, people in WWE. He said, but you're not in wrestling, so why did he pick you? I said, I'm not the only, and I was not the only person he picked, but I thought that was cute. So yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of this, and I'm very honored. And I would love to ask you, so like you are proving that you are going beyond what people think are the expectations of what a disabled person can do. So why a podcast? Why a web show?
You want a long story? You want the highlights?
Whichever you feel like sharing.
Well, there's the long story, and then there's like Donald Trump, the long story.
No Donald Trump.
Basically, make a long story short, this is how my high school years were. Oh, Mrs. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah. We know your son has a disability, but we promise you, after these 4 years, he's got to be a functional adult. He can get to go to college and whatever. Nope. Oh, Keith, you here today? Go read the newspaper. Go play on the computer. Do whatever. So basically, I was pushed along, and when I started to break out, I joined the audiovisual department. Certain people didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what when my butt come down. And now I talk with my hands.
No problem.
And basically at the time, 10 years ago, I was using my learning disability as a crutch. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do this. I can't do that. I can't go to college. I can't have a normal job. And I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna show. And I was like, okay, if this is whatever, forget it. I used my brother for an inspiration. He
Mm-hmm.
says I'm an ass kisser. Or an asshole, one or the other. And so I was like, one day, everyone in my family had a disability at one time or another, but they're off doing their own things. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, why can I do it? Well, you don't have good people skills, you can't hold a job, you screw up everything you touch. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And it's like, well, what am I passionate about doing? Well, I talk a lot. I don't know when to shut up. Why not be a talk show host?
Perfect.
So I don't ask me why. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But when I first started, I did 72 phone interviews.
Oh my.
And I interviewed people from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to Dragon Ball Z to Amazing Spider-Man. And they say, you have this wonderful floor map. Why aren't you as big or bigger than you portray yourself to be? Why don't you have sponsors? Why don't you have people helping you? Well, would you like to help me with that? No, if you can't do it yourself, then it's not meant to be. It's like, yeah, well, thanks a lot, asshole.
Right.
And the one guy said to me, do it over. And thanks to you, we're back up to 207. Actually, I'm listening up to, you were supposed to be 229.
Mm-hmm.
But I got into an argument with the other person, and it's like, forget it. Let's take our interview. You want to do the interview over? Fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an open gap, so I had to fix 207. But thanks to you, we're back up to 229.
Okay.
And, I should have been doing this from the start. I do this in all my interviews. Mm-hmm. What you see on the reflection on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So the screen is the computer.
Okay.
This is the monitor. So
okay.
The camera will record whatever it sees on here.
Okay.
And then season 2 is, okay, here's the camera. It records whatever it sees from the computer.
Right.
And people are like, well, why don't you use better quality? And I say, yeah, well, I could, but, I don't know how to do that. Skype recorder came out. Now, after we're done, it's got to be cut in half. I'm going to be on the right, you're going to be on the left.
Right.
Or if you want to interview me one day, maybe that would be good. You're going to be on the right, I'm going to be on the left. And it basically shows you in the 3 years how I went from the phone from 2013 to 14. Then I went from the computer screen from 14 to 15. And then 15 to 16, it's now Skype recorder. Sorry, just trying to catch my breath.
You're fine.
And it's basically, you see phone, computer, Skype recorder, and you see the transition.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do the Skype recorder from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But, you could see the transition from how I was having panic attacks and social anxiety when I first started to now I can't shut up and I love doing what I'm doing. But you wouldn't see the transition. You wouldn't see the video quality change.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, the video quality is really bad. Well, you have to look at it as a growth period.
Right.
You have to see it as you're not going to hit, Daryl Schwarber, King Griffey Jr. isn't going to hit home runs every single day. And some of my interviews are really good, like with you, and some are really bad. And that's not, sometimes it's the guest's fault, but then sometimes it's my fault because I hesitate and I come off a little stiff. And, it's a hit and miss. It's a growth period. It's a learning experience. And it's just, it is what I really hate saying this. People said to me all my life, now I'm starting to say it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like I said, it is what it is.
But it is, yeah.
But there's going to be, I want to see a transition.
Okay.
You know, and I don't know, I'm doing the best I can with a learning disability. You know, it's called a mental, I suffer from depression, I suffer from anxiety, support social skills. But I'm doing the best I can. I promote myself, I advertise myself, I look for people myself, and it would be nice to actually work with people who say, you know, you need someone to work with you. But it's my friend who I went to school with said to me, you know, usually when people do stuff like this, they have people working with you, but it seems to be you're doing this all by yourself. It's like, well, thank you for noticing. And it's like, but it's kind of like, yes, I would like to have the help, but no one wants to help me because they keep thumbing their nose on me, saying, yeah, it's not going to amount to anything, it's not going to do. You know, I had people saying to me in the beginning, oh, you're manipulating people, you're conning people. I want your honest opinion. People said to me in the beginning, you're manipulating people, you're conning people, you're not really handicapped, you really don't have a disability, you're not portraying yourself who you're really supposed to be. And I'm like, well, because I'm not walking around like this or whatever, no disrespect to people or like that, because I don't look retarded, you know. People say, well, what is your disability? Oh, well, you learn slow. Okay, so do I. But I'm not retarded. I mean, there's some other bullshit excuses. They like to tear me down. It's kind of like what's using the race card for you. It's kind of like, for people using a race card to you, they're using the discrimination card for me. You know, we're in the same boat because we're being discriminated. You say, well, you're one way and I'm the other, so you have to act like everyone else. You should act how the media sees you. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna break the fourth wall. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be different. And I know people like talking in at their ass, and sometimes I talk out of my ass. But it's kind of like, you're not going to please everyone. You're really not. And I'm doing the best I can. And what's your honest opinion? When you looked at my talk shows, well, you say anything you want. You say it's good.
Look at it as, it's not your job to please everybody. You're not doing this for everybody else. You're not doing this to prove to those people. You're doing this because you like to do it. You're doing it because you enjoy it. And that's what matters. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to find someone to, put you down. But that means that you're on the right track. Because if someone's trying to find some fault at what you're doing, it's only because they're not doing it. Because they don't have the guts to do it. So keep going. I think it's great. And I think that you have a, great platform. The fact that you have been able to make this transition, not just technically, like in the technical sense, but, for yourself here and for here, is a good thing. Means you're on the right track. Like, I have friends who have a podcast, and I don't know how they got up at their studios in Brooklyn, and they're not like looking for a huge audience, but they do it because they love to do it. And I think that should be your next step, is to figure out. What I'll do is I'll ask them how they were able to get this time slot. However, I think it's through SoundCloud. But anyway, I'll look it up and I'll get you that information. But keep going. Like I said, this is not for anybody else. Screw those guys. And there is no right way to be disabled. There's no wrong way to be disabled. It's like a stereotype.
Yeah.
Remember, I don't know if you ever saw, there was Damon Wayans did this character on In Living Color called Handyman. And people loved it because he's like, never underestimate the power of the handicap. And that's what it is. People are going to underestimate you no matter what, but you're showing that you are an able human being. You have a mind, you have a heart, and you have an amazing ability to do something that you love to do. So I say, keep doing it and love it. And fuck everybody else. That's that's what I'm doing. I was like, you know what? I love doing it. It may be taking a little longer than I want, but hey, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So in this time, as someone said to me, use the delay to be your transformation period. That's your metamorphosis period. The delay for you waiting to whatever this next thing is going to be. This is your time for growth. This is your time to, like, what's your next interview going to be? Who's your next guest? Think about that. And you never know where your help's going to come from next.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up the interview, I would love to talk to you after the show, so stay with us.
No problem.
Wrapping up the interview, I just want to say it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to building a friendship with you as well.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.